All right, today we've got Brian McNally, somebody I've become really close with over the last few years, and has just amazed me in every step. And we've got an entrepreneur here, we've got an MMA fighter, we've got a coach, and a family man. So, Brian, thanks for doing this with me and joining me, and we've had a chance to get to know each other really well, at a business level, personal level, the last few years. Just wanted to kind of go through, touch on some of those points that I've learned, but love to learn more and allow other people to learn more about you as well too. So again, thank you for coming, man.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. So, we'll kind of just get started. You were an entrepreneur, started a business. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so in 2015, so I was a sales guy, like most. I just had the corporate job, doing my thing. I was I was in staffing my whole career and worked my way into healthcare staffing. And in 2015, I was getting frustrated. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the leap. So I ended up joining up with my partner. We started a company called Milio, and we did healthcare staffing and consulting for hospital revenue cycle. And couple of laptops and some cell phones, and took it from 0 to 50 million a year in annual revenue and an exit in 7 years.
Wow, man, that's incredible. I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs' dream.
Right.
Sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't, especially in 7 years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in that period of time, there had to have been some highs and some lows.
For sure. That's an understatement.
Tell me, where were some of those, let's start off with lows.
Yeah.
I always like to end on a high point. Tell me about some of those lows. Where were they? When did they, come about through that process?
Yeah. Well, the biggest one was probably in 2020. Mm-hmm. So we're in healthcare and COVID hit. And in the very beginning, so we're revenue cycle, we staff when they're down on employees. Well, when the hospital has no patients, because they're basically not letting anyone come in unless it's a true emergency, right? They cut everything. And so we had 300 people deployed all over the country. I traveled employees out. So I have apartment leases that I'm paid for. And we're trying to be a good partner to the hospitals. They're under tremendous stress and an environment where nobody knows what decision to make. I mean, nobody knows what's going on. And we're all just trying to play it cool. And, we live by our values. So we do what's right, not what's common. So when I had apartment rents, instead of trying to charge my clients, I'm just like, we're going to eat everything. Don't worry about it. We'll take the people. You worry about just keeping people alive, and we'll be here when things come out of it. Well, it took a big hit. My business just completely stopped. Wow. And so we were on a run rate that year. We were already great trajectory for the business. So in 2019, we did about 10 million in revenue. So from 2015 to 2019, we're now at a run rate of 10 million. We did that year. Inc. 500, we were number 281 on the Inc. 500 list, and we're pumped. And in 2020, we set a goal for the whole company. We're like 20 million in 2020. And from me and Jason's perspective, my business partner, we had set a goal to be a $20 million company in 5 to 7 years. So here we are, year 5. By March, we're on a run rate to do 20 million. I see my exit coming. My life is just clicking along just as I planned. And then it's just, the rug gets pulled out. So then we end the year at we fought hard. Personally and professionally, it was the hardest thing I ever went through. Personally, I fell apart a little bit too. I had already built a lot of the personal development skills and things that had grown me to allow me to be successful in the business. Working out, eating right, just mentally strong, or so I thought. And that hurt so bad that I just let it all go, right? Yeah. Gained a bunch of weight, was drinking, was just pissed off all the time. I'm a big fan of the Constitution, which was being ripped apart daily around that time. And I'm just in the social media rabbit hole, being angry every day. And after a few months of that, I just was kind of like, what are you doing? I listened to David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, and just basically called myself a bitch and pulled it out of it. I was like, dude, this is not who you are. Like, you're going to let your life go away. You're just not going to fight for it. You're just going to throw your hands up. So I deleted social media, got that off my plate. Just that first little step to just clearing my mind. Got back to what made me strong in the first part, just working out, eating right, staying focused, digging in, doing the work, got my team to rally. And we came out of it. We ended up staying flat after all that. And then really towards the tail end of that is when COVID gave us back what it took. and then some, because the hospitals just blew up, right?
Yeah.
And they needed help. At that point, it was like, all right, we know what's going on, and the volume was more than we ever needed. So then we ended up doing 30 million the year after. That's a
awesome.
Wild amount of growth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, as an entrepreneur, especially starting off and doing so well, and you kind of hitting that road bump, as an entrepreneur, personally, how did that, you talked a little bit about, the personal effects to it. And I know you're a huge family man, you're a great father. How did that affect that personal family life?
I wasn't present. I was physically there. I wasn't going into the office anymore like most people, but I was checked out.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there, I was there, but my thoughts were not on them. And it's something that I work on daily now even, right? I mean, we're all entrepreneurs, we're driven people, we're vision oriented people. We're constantly living in the future, right? As to where we're going to go, we're solving the problem. And a big thing I had to learn to practice then and carry through to my life now is being present with what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
When I'm here, we're having this conversation. This is where I'm at. I'm going to stay here, and I'm not thinking about other things, right? And you have to practice that with our children and our families. It's easy to take them for granted, right? But they see it all, and they know it. And my kids, we've since had conversations with my kids, and I was a parent. They definitely knew that Dad just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
Yeah.
Those are years on time I'll never get back.
Yeah. Sometimes those, I always tell people, the smartest people in life are the ones who've been through the worst, right? I mean, you learn from your mistakes, and although like you'd love to go back and change what happened during then, you wouldn't be the person you are today, right?
100%.
I'm a man of faith, and so we all have plans. God does things and for a reason, and those struggles. I think I didn't know you before then, but just getting to know you now, you've always been a phenomenal person. But struggles like that just make you even better. And, you talk about fighting and stuff, which we'll get to in a little bit here, because there's other cool things about that. But so, we've kind of gone through some lows of that process of entrepreneur from starting to exiting. What were some of the highs?
Man, we built the company. I'm a big believer in aligning compensation and a shared mission for an organization. And culturally, that can really empower people to be bought in, right? I think so oftentimes the leaders are worried about their goal, and they just think employees, they have a paycheck, so they should just be here and do what they need to do because they want to get money. But people don't need that. People need agency over their life. They want to feel like they're a part of something. And as a group, you need some collective resiliency. And that gets built through trust and being vulnerable as a leader and really caring about your people, right?
Yeah.
And as part of that, when we got to the exit, we aligned the compensation. So a lot of people, we paid really high compensation while people worked for us, variable across all levels. So if the business won, everybody won. And then when we sold, they got a piece of the earnout as well. And so it was amazing at the end to just hear some of the stories of the impact we had on people's lives.
Oh man,
I mean, like powerful. It was cool to to see that wire come in, and I cried like a baby because it was just like this release of so much pressure. I don't think people realize what you carry when you're just pushing the chips back in for 7 years. One bad day and it all goes away, everything you've done, right? And so to finally have that release was it was a physiological response. I was happy, but I just like wept. Tried to call my dad. I'm like, we did it. Just didn't know what was going on. I was a mess. But then it was like, I'm all talking to my team and it's like, you remember when you hired me and we talked about this goal of me paying for my child's college, Well, I just did that with this earnout check, right? Families were started earlier than people because we're very driven professionals, but they're like, dude, this put us in the spot. Like, we're going to get our first home. We're going to have a kid now. We're doing all this kind of stuff. And when we finally left after the earnout, I remember having conversations with me and my partner. We felt like we were leaving everybody behind. We felt like we were doing something wrong, Like, it just felt bad leaving the team. We had amazing team members, but we were ready. It was our journey. We were ready to move on. And I remember like apologizing. I'm sorry, we're leaving. And they were just laughing at us. Like, dude, you changed our lives. What are you kidding me? You gave us this amazing opportunity. We had this amazing run. Yeah, it's sad to see it end, but you guys shouldn't be a part. Like, go, enjoy yourselves. You earned it.
Awesome.
And you've had such an impact on my life. And there's nothing more rewarding than that.
Oh, I can imagine.
And that's what led me to getting into the coaching business. Because now I'm like, I want to teach other entrepreneurs that piece of it. Like they're all so focused on raising capital and getting their exit and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, you're missing the boat. It ain't about the Ferraris and the bullshit. Oh, yeah. You're going to change lives if you do this the right way. And that's what I want to teach people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, I know, that coaching, it sounds like that coaching stemmed from just your mentality and operational, mindset with your team and stuff. But, shortly after you exited, and I was kind of knowing you at that time.
Yeah.
You know, you started training Jiu-Jitsu, I believe. And man, I had the privilege of recently seeing you fight your first MMA fight, which man, I'll never forget, dude. It was awesome. But tell me, like, what, midlife crisis? Like, you exited a company, you're like, I'm going to go beat some ass now.
Dude,
like, what was that?
It's so funny. Actually, I started jiu-jitsu in 2020. That was one of those things. I'm a big fan of like a pattern disruptor.
Yeah.
Like doing something really hard. And almost every year I schedule something really hard for myself. Just if I'm slipping, you know, I'm like, I have this physically wise. Like there's always something hard. A jiu-jitsu tournament, do the Murph every year. I'll plan a run, something like that. I'm like, well, it's on the radar. I have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And in 2020, I was going through all that. When I started to fight back, I'm like, you know, I've always wanted to do a martial art. I grew up playing sports. I didn't have money to do like Taekwondo classes or anything like that. It wasn't really kind of my family's thing, right? I never did wrestling, anything like that. But I always wanted to. I'm a very physical guy. And I'm like, you know, I was like, I'm going to challenge myself as part of this. So I walked in and started doing jiu-jitsu in 2020 and slowly started building. I mean, I was doing an exit. So I was going like once a week, whatever. But I was going and getting exposed to it. And in like late 21, I said to one of my coaches, just me being how I am, like, how far could I do a fight? Like, I really kind of want to challenge myself. Could I do a fight? And they all looked at me like I'm crazy because I was 40 at the time, you know, and they're like, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, you know, you could do it, but we need to see this from you. You need to commit. You need to do these things. And I'm like, once I set my mind to a goal, I believe every goal is achievable. Yeah. It's just a matter of time, effort, and sacrifice. And I was like, okay, when I'm ready, I'll make this the goal and I'll do the thing. And so I started to do that. And then through a bunch of injuries and everything else, I set a goal in my head. I just don't like failing myself. If I set a commitment, whether it's having an exit, doing, you know, I honor the commitments I make to myself. And I had made that commitment to get in a cage and do the training. And it was less about going in there and doing the actual fight and like that piece, and more about the amount of dedication and discipline required to actually achieve it. I wanted to see if I had that level of capability because it's all consuming. Your whole lifestyle has to change.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, so I was there to witness the victory. You know, the guy you fought, how much younger was he than you?
About 10 years younger.
Okay. I mean, dude was ripped, in shape, had fight, you know, I think he fought one time before.
He had a previous fight,
you know, won that one, I believe.
I'm not sure if he won.
Okay. I mean, the guy looks skilled, man. Like, you know, like he gets up there and it starts off and, you know, immediately I was impressed. You know, I didn't know what to expect with you. Yeah. But you know, I think the announcer was saying like, this is his second fight. And I'm not sure if I remember them saying he won in the past. I was like, man, dude, Brian's going up against, you know, guys a decade younger than him, has the experience in fighting and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know what this is how this is gonna turn out, man. And
you and me both,
dude. Like, I mean, you coming out and within the first probably 30 seconds of the fight, I look over to Dennert and I'm just like, dude, he's gonna win this. Like, I mean, and it wasn't so much just that you were dominating him. I could see and feel your mentality. And just like you said, you hate to fail, right? Yeah. Like there was no way the guy I was watching up on stage was going to fail. And like, it was just a cool feeling. And then obviously when you won, man, just like the place erupted. It was one of the largest cheers and screams out of the entire night. So it was pretty cool.
It was cool. And it was a weird thing. I kind of thought I would use like rage to get in the cage. And then, but as I got closer to it, I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. Because I could have done that 3 years ago. I didn't have to train to go in there and just throw haymakers at somebody. I wanted to learn a craft and really master it enough so that I could be capable of it. Right? Yeah. And there's levels to go from where I'm at now. But for me, it was about that dedication and really learning it and being able to go out there and get the victory. And I was eerily calm the whole day. I was prepared, over-prepared, frankly. And so when I went in that cage, I was so calm and it was all move, counter move. I was thinking of everything I was doing. But at the end of the day, what really I think separated us is just my will. I've always been that way. I'm kind of relentless and I've refused to lose. And there was some crazy thing kind of went down and there's scramble and I came up and I hit him with a big overhand right that I think hurt him. And at that point I saw his will kind of shrink and mine was like, I went into full warrior mode. All the thinking and the counter moves went out the window and I was just like, I'm going to just hurt somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, just kind of explaining all of these experiences,
Yeah.
obviously you go through challenges, you have a will to always get back. I know you went through a challenge during the training and stuff like that with the
Multiple
ACL,
injuries,
tell us a little bit about that and then just the mindset and how you got through it.
Well, same thing. I made the commitment to myself to do it. And so I tore an ACL, tore an MCL, tore a calf muscle, had emergency appendectomy.
So what happens when you fight at 40 years old?
Yeah, when you're fighting all the time at 40 years old. I had a couple other ones, separated shoulder, a bunch of stuff. So, the reason it took me 3 years to finally get in the cage was because I had to take 6 months off to do rehab or, build back up my skills. But the whole time, if my leg was injured, then I guess I'm doing upper body every day. As the smallest possible things I could do, I did.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part, like staying consistent. And what I try and teach people is create momentum. Yeah, you're gonna have these setbacks and you're gonna have these challenges, but just stay consistent and work on the smallest thing you can do to build momentum and just keep building on it every day. And at one point during that training, it was just walking. I was walking. I was doing like jazzercise walking with little weights in my hands because I couldn't do anything else. So I'm training for an MMA fight with like lady weights in my hands, walking around my neighborhood looking like, like a soccer mom.
Yeah.
But that was all I could physically do. So I was going to do it.
That's awesome.
That was,
it's that will you're talking about, man.
It's that will. Yeah.
Just challenge yourself and
nobody cared. I can't tell you how many people were like, why don't you just not do it? Nobody cares. Nobody, you're the only one who's, I'm like, yeah, but I'll know.
Yeah.
And I live my life with a regret minimization framework. I balance everything against on my deathbed. Will I regret this? If I don't do this? And it's usually not the things that I do and fail at. It's the things that I avoid doing or don't do that I know I'm capable of that haunt me. And I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't care if I'm 50, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to accomplish this goal.
Yeah. So, want to kind of wrap up here a little bit. But man, I appreciate taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah.
So what's next for Brian McNally?
Right now, I'm trying to, like I said, do the performance coaching. I'm helping other executives and startups, anyone from like a startup to like 50 million to 100 million, kind of in a service-based business. I can help you excel that business. Beyond that, any executive in a corporate role or even larger companies, just who are struggling to balance life and business, and you feel like you're going to march towards a life of regret, we should talk.
Yeah.
Because I don't think enough of us stop and design the life we want. We're just drifting and living the life that other people think we think the world needs us to live, right? We have responsibilities. We have more bullshit we want to buy that we don't really need.
Yeah.
And we just go through this accomplishment game and we end up unhappy and unfulfilled. And I'm writing a book right now. It's called Fuck Average. And the whole goal is how to avoid living a life of regret and pursuing your potential. And so I'm going to really have a design in there on how you can map this out for yourself. And that's what I do in my coaching program. And then I'm obviously pretty good at holding people accountable.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now. And then from an investment perspective, I built freedom in my life, that's more just purpose driven, right? I've got a men's group around a similar concept locally in Tampa. It's all purpose driven stuff. I want to have an impact, but, I created a life of freedom. I want to keep it. So I'm working on just being a better investor, creating passive cash flow, and I need trusted people I work with, and that's how I came with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's been an awesome experience and just getting to know you and stuff like that. So
yeah, likewise.
I'd love to hear more about that. That may be for another podcast. But Brian, man,
appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you coming on.
Got it.
Man, it's been amazing to get to know you as an entrepreneur, but even better as a friend. So thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Just getting started.
Oh, yeah.